All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back here again for week number 14 of Pete's Power Rankings. Yes, the season is coming to a close. There's just 5 weeks left. I'm going through, I'm watching 99% of all these games, taking notes, keeping tabs, and I'm ranking everybody 1 through 32. Let's get into it here, folks. We're going to start off with our bottom tier teams. These are the teams that are done. They're out of the playoffs. They're looking forward to the draft in April. Or some of them have no hope whatsoever and they're completely lost. But let's get into it. Our bottom tier teams, 32 through 24. Okay, there's your bottom tier teams. I still got Houston at 32. Not much change here at the bottom. Denver, New Orleans, LA, Indianapolis, all complete dumpster fires. New Orleans and Denver put up a good fight this weekend, but still ended up losing the game when it mattered. Bad. The Colts, oh my God, they were right in that Cowboys game in the fourth quarter, and then they just forgot how to play football. Just stopped caring whatsoever. Complete embarrassment. Arizona on a bye. Chicago, they are so dog shit. I mean, Justin Fields is great. Everybody else is ass. They need some help. I like what I saw from the Steelers this weekend. They managed to win at Atlanta, who's a tough team. The offense is really starting to come alive with Kenny Pickett. Defense back up to full strength. But yeah, so not much to talk about these bad teams. Some bright hope for a few of these teams. A lot of disaster. But let's get into these middle tier teams, 23 through 16. All still fighting for stuff. Most of these teams towards the bottom here are done. They technically have a chance, but I think they're done. But some of these teams at the top here are going to be fighting and clawing for that wild card spot. So let's get into it, 23 through 16. Okay, big movers are here. I got the Jags down 4 spots. I mean, they got bitch slapped by Detroit. Detroit looked really good this weekend, but I expected better from the Jags. I know Trevor Lawrence got hurt for a minute there, but he ended up coming back out. The Vegas Raiders, winners of 3 in a row, could easily be winners of 4 in a row moving forward. I think this team is spunky. They're feisty. I don't know what happened. Derek Carr cried at the podium after that loss to Indianapolis at home, and they've turned things around. Josh Jacobs is leading the NFL in scrimmage yards this year. He's been an absolute bell cow. He's going to get a nice contract from somebody since the Raiders did not pick up his option. Josh McDaniels, Mark Davis gave him the vote of approval, said it takes time, and it's really starting to pay dividends. Very nice win from them. Patriots, man, they look abysmal on offense. They need an offensive coordinator. Hint, hint, Cliff Kingsbury might be out of a job in Arizona. Could be looking at him as the offensive coordinator in New England next year. They need to figure something out because the offense is just so anemic when they're not playing a bad defense. Lions, a feisty team. They're in do or die mode now. If Minnesota wins, they will win the division. Lions have to win out to find a way into that wild card spot. But next year, they're going to be a real tough team. I like what Dan Campbell has done. Really fun team. And they're going to have a top pick again. Maybe they can find themselves another quarterback. But Jared Goff is doing a decent job. LA at 16, they're the worst team here. Man, a huge letdown loss at the Raiders. I hate Brandon Staley. I've hated him all year. He needs to be fired. We need to get an offensive coach for Justin Herbert. They'll fix this things out. Sean Payton in LA turns the Chargers into a real competitive team next year. So they need to get that fixed. But let's get into it now. Our top 15, what everybody came here for. But before we do that, drop a quick like on this video. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. New videos every single weekday. But let's get into it. Number 15, back into the top 15. They've been solid all year. They're going to be close to getting into this wild card spot. But I think they're going to be able to do it. All right, number 15, I got Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks. They're sitting at 7 wins right now. They're in second place in the division. It's going to be close here for Seattle. Geno Smith has been super accurate, super efficient. He found Tyler Lockett for a lot of big plays along with DK Metcalf. Kenneth Walker did go out in this game, and they really struggled to run the ball, but they went down the field. They scored the game-winning touchdown. It was a struggle against this Rams team, which you don't really want to see this late in the season for a team that's as bad as the Rams, but they got the job done. They got 7 wins. They're probably going to need to get to 10. 9 wins maybe does it. A tougher schedule moving forward. You don't really know what you're going to expect out of San Francisco, but they do have the Panthers and the Rams at home still. They got to play the Chiefs and the Jets, so it's going to be real close for the Seahawks team. Tark Woolen, an absolute stud on the back end. He's tied for the league lead in interceptions. I think this is a decent team. If they get into that 7 seed in the NFC, they're going to have to go to Minnesota probably, and that's probably where this season ends. But for right now, I'm going to keep them at 15. they're a competitive team. Just hopefully they don't slip up because there are teams chomping at the bit to get into that last wild card spot. Okay, at number 14, I got the New York Giants up 3 spots. They showed me a lot this weekend. Honestly, they went down 10-0 to the smoking hot Commanders. Really thought that was going to be all she wrote for them, but they came out and they played great ball at the end of the second quarter and into the second half. They had a 7-point lead with a minute plus to go. They managed to blow that lead, but they do survive. Graham Gano cannot quite get enough on this game-winning kick, and they end up with a tie against the Commanders. It's not the best thing in the world since they tied at home against the Commanders, but it does help them as far as the playoff picture is concerned. No losses. They're sitting at 7 wins. They have that tie. So any of these teams behind them are probably going to be struggling to get to 9 wins at the max. So the Giants just got to find a way to win 2 more games, get to 9 wins, and they will own that tiebreaker over most of these teams. Daniel Jones did a nice job getting the ball to Saquon Barkley. The receivers for the Giants are still a big question mark. Giants defense as a whole doesn't really scare me, but they play good in stretches. Brian Daboll's doing a hell of a job with not a whole lot in New York. I'm thinking they're getting in like the rest of the NFC East, so I'm going to put them here at number 14. Some easy games, but some also really tough games coming up for the Giants. I know they got the Vikings and the Eagles on the schedule, but they also got the Colts on the schedule. So the big one is in 2 weeks against the Commanders in Washington. If they can win that game, that should pretty much assure them a wild card spot. Right now, keeping the Giants at 14. Okay, at number 13, up 1 spot, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We finally saw some life from Tampa when all was looking down. It looked like they were dead in the water, down 13 points in the fourth quarter at home on Monday night to the Saints. Tom, the GOAT, Brady, found a way to pull a rabbit out of the hat and get the dub with a touchdown pass to Rachaad White with 3 seconds left. Absolutely fantastic comeback. The defense was solid all night. The offense put the defense in bad situations. They managed to hold the Saints to a lot of field goals, did not give up the touchdowns, and it allowed Tampa to finally give them a chance, find the end zone twice in the fourth quarter. It was a real slog for them. Now, maybe it's just how the Saints are. They really struggle with the Saints. This Tampa Bay team feels so they feel so off. They don't feel threatening at all. But there's this lurking thing, when they get in the playoffs, they have a very good defense, and Tom Brady just wins these kind of games. It's probably going to be Dallas at Tampa Bay in the first round, so not ideal if you're a Buccaneers fan because the Cowboys are out of this world right now. But still, if you come down to Dak and Tom, you're going to take Tom, obviously. So it's an interesting situation for them. They're 6-6. They're probably going to win this division. Not a lot of heat from the NFC South. And a home playoff game is a home playoff game. It's hard to go win on the road in this league. So that's a big plus for the Buccaneers. But I'm going to keep him here at number 13 just because we see a lot of flaws, especially on that offense. Okay, I'm keeping the Commanders here at 12. This team has been out of their mind on fire, and it finally cooled off this weekend. They kind of let this game slip away from them. Taylor Heineke was not his usual self, but again, pulled a rabbit out of his hat, more like out of his ass, converting a 4th down that would have won the game for the Giants on a broken play, managed to get the game-tying touchdown, but they did nothing in overtime. It was a lackluster performance from this offense. The defense was solid. They gave up a little too many points when this game was 10-0. They could have buried this Giants team when they were reeling. They didn't manage to do a good job stopping Saquon Barkley, but I still think this is a very hot football team. They rushed the passer really well. Taylor Heineke's got some really good magic, some really good juju, and these wide receivers are really tough to stop. Terry McLaurin is probably one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league, if not the most underrated wide receiver. He is an absolute dog out there. He does nothing but make plays. So this Washington team is pesky, they're lucky, and they're hot, and that's not a great combination. It's one of the few teams I do not want to see coming out of the wild card round if I'm any of these NFC teams. They're very spunky. I'm going to keep them here at 12 for now. They got to bye this upcoming week, and then they've got the Giants at home. You beat the Giants, just like I said, you're probably going to lock up this playoff spot. The tie helps them. They obviously would have much rather the win with the extra loss, but 7 wins with the tie, probably going to help them in the long run sneak into the playoffs. Okay, staying put here in number 11. Not much movement here. I got the Jets at 11. I really liked what I saw from them. Minnesota dominated the Jets for the first half. I mean, they could have put this game away, but the Jets are, I don't know if they're super pesky or the Vikings are just inept at winning a multiple score game. Every game has to be one score. It's amazing how much better Mike White is than Zach Wilson. He's able to make throws, read guys, get them open. He throws the ball really, really well. His one downside is if you move him off that spot, if you get any pressure on him, it's basically me at quarterback, okay? He's horrendously inaccurate. He's not a threat with his legs, really. He does have a lot of tenacity. I saw a lot of fight out of him. The Jets defense really made it difficult on Minnesota most of the day. They had one drive where Minnesota was really looking easy. They went right down the field at the end of that game to put them up 2 scores. The Jets ended up obviously coming back, and the defense got the stop for the Vikings. But man, it was like pulling teeth for this high-powered offense of Minnesota. So I really like this Jets team. They got good corners. They got a young team. They got a good pass rush. They got to be able to run the ball a little bit better on offense. I think that'll help take some pressure off this passing game. But all in all, I think this Jets team is going to get into the playoffs finally. And they're tough. They're heading in the right direction. You thought it was going to be Zach Wilson at quarterback. It's not, and we're just going to have to live with Mike White and might as well keep riding him until you can't anymore. So I got the Jets here at 11. Okay, number 10, I'm keeping the Tennessee Titans at here. Yeah, I know they kind of got blown out against Philadelphia, but Philly's one of the best teams in this league. It was a very impressive win by the Eagles. The Titans were playing tough. This game was tied early in the second quarter, and Treylon Burks got knocked out on a dirty hit, was not clean. They flagged him for it, got knocked out with a concussion. You hate to see it. And the Titans offense really struggled after that, but the defense was flying around, hitting people, making life difficult, but they really couldn't move the ball as well as they needed to against the Eagles. Once they lost Burks, they were pretty limited. They could commit to the run game. The rest of the receiving core, not great. Tannehill's limited, as we know, but this Titans team is still very, very physical, still a very tough team. They're going to win the AFC South, so they're kind of like Tampa Bay. They got flaws, but they play hard. They're well coached. They're going to have a home playoff game, and it's hard to win on the road in this league. Now, you say they lost the 1 seed at home last year. Well, guess what? They played Cincinnati. Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl. They beat everybody on the road, and Joe Burrow is an absolute dog. Probably not going to face that in the first round with anybody. Probably going to get the Jets, maybe get Baltimore, the Chargers, who the hell knows. They should probably win that first round playoff game. So, I mean, the Titans, I like. They're well coached. They're just super limited as a whole from a talent standpoint. We kind of know what their ceiling is. But, if you're a Titans fan, can't complain too much. You just know how this thing's going to end. So I'm going to keep the Titans here at 10. Okay, number 9. I'm keeping the Ravens here at 9 because they managed to find a way to beat the Broncos. But man, they were really, really difficult on offense. I know Lamar went out with a knee injury. He's considered week to week. That is concerning for the Ravens. But you think you'd have some sort of game plan to be able to move the football against Denver. The running was bad. They ran a horrible trick play. Nobody was fooled by this. I just don't know what's going on with Baltimore. I mean, Harbaugh seems like he's lost a step as far as a coaching standpoint. This team does not seem super prepared. They're not good at holding leads. They underperform on offense week in and week out. I just don't know if I can trust the Ravens at all moving forward. I'm keeping them here at 9 because the defense has been very, very good as of late, but the offense is so suspect. And even if Lamar does come back, he's going to have a nagging injury, I'm sure. It's going to limit what they can do on offense. I don't think they have the talent. I don't think they have the weapons to really do anything. And you're going to have a real hard decision in the offseason, Baltimore. Does Lamar really make that much of a difference to this team? I don't think so. I don't think Lamar's going to get you to where you need to go. You can sign him, but for the right price, but Lamar don't want that price. Lamar wants all the money in the world and a bag of chips. He wants a bullshit Cleveland Browns Deshaun Watson contract. He's not going to get it. He's clueless like that. And he bet on himself, and it's going to hurt him because guess what? His style got his ass hurt, and now it's going to nag. And I think the Baltimore season's going to collapse once again. And could Harbaugh be fired in Baltimore? I don't think so, but man, if they don't make the playoffs, I would be really worried about him as far as keeping his job because it's not looking right in Baltimore. Keep him here at 9 because they can be dangerous, but man, huge question marks for me. Okay, at number 8, I'm going to drop the Dolphins down a spot here. At San Francisco, that was a tough game. At a conference road games, always very tough. San Francisco, a very good team. But man, they did not do a good enough job shutting down this Niners offense, especially after Jimmy G went out very early in this game. Brock Purdy came in. He looked very capable at quarterback. They dominated the Dolphins in the trenches. It was a real tough day for Tua. Threw 2 bad picks, had a fumble go for a touchdown. He just looked off after he threw a 75-yard touchdown on the first play of the game. So they really didn't have anything going on offense. Mike McDaniel kind of got schooled a little bit. Maybe the Dolphins needed this. They were riding a little too high. A lot of people have been calling them out, possibly a fraud team, and not a great showing on the road. You're worried about how this offense is going to travel in cold weather, in sloppy situations. It was just not a good week for the Dolphins. They got a nice schedule coming up. They're now in second in the division, so they're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs. Buffalo's retaking that division lead. I think this is a fun story. This was a fun team, but I think we're kind of starting to see the ceiling with this Dolphins team. Good wild card team. Maybe too young of a head coach that gets schooled a little bit by the veteran guys, but I could be wrong. It could have just been Niners are a bad matchup for them. We'll wait and see, but I'm going to drop them down a slot here at number 8. Just because I didn't love how they played on defense, especially when Purdy came in the game. So for right now, Dolphins at 8. Okay, this one might be a little controversial. I'm going to have the Bengals here at 7. I'm going to bump them up a spot. I know people are going to be screaming they should be way higher. And hey, I've been a buyer of the Bengals stock all year. I've been all over the Bengals. I knew they would turn this thing around. Joe Burrow, probably the second best quarterback in football now. He absolutely owns Mahomes and the Chiefs. He's 3-0 against him. That's very impressive against a super good team. Well-coached, great quarterback. They have their number, and it's definitely a thing now. Problem is, they're not in first place in the division. They're still chasing Baltimore. Who knows if Baltimore is going to be able to keep that up? And honestly, the teams in front of them have not done enough for me to bump them down. Now, the Bengals, I'll be ready at a hair notice to bump them up. Anything slips up between these teams in front of them, I'll definitely bump the Bengals up. This is a very good football team. They're probably going to be the 3 seed out in the AFC. So that means they're going to have to go to Buffalo, to Kansas City also, which I know they've won in Kansas City before, but that's a real tough place to play on the road in the playoffs. As you know, Buffalo, the exact same thing. So I think that's the only problem with them. But if they stay playing hot, the defense is a no-name defense that plays really good ball. We obviously know about all the studs on offense. I think, honestly, their head coach is the worst part of this team. I don't think Zach Taylor's anything special over there calling plays or anything. But if the Bengals keep this up, they're going to be a team that you need to look for coming out of the AFC. This is a super scary team. And if I'm Mahomes and the Chiefs fans, I'd be a little bit nervous. I've been saying this was the one team that could go in and beat you, and it looks like they have no problem doing that. Right now, keep the Bengals at 7, but be very high on the Bengals moving forward. Okay, number 6, I got my Minnesota Vikings. They dominated the Jets for the first half of this football game. It was like pulling teeth on offense, but they did a really good job. Managed to get out to a 20-6 lead, 20-3 lead, but let that field goal late in the half make it 20-6 at half, and then fell apart once again in the third quarter. This team really struggles in the third quarter, but they did do one thing that they haven't done necessarily all year, that they're showing they're getting better at. They never relinquished that lead. They managed to add to it. It still came down to a one-score game and a defensive stop in the red zone once again. But man, this team is so frustrating to watch. Everybody hates watching them. They play really good for some quarters, do nothing in the middle of the game, and then they close out the game. I've never seen a defense like this that goes from not making any plays whatsoever to making every single play in every single big spot. I have to give it to the defense. They do make plays. They do force turnovers. They do get stops. They held the Jets to a horrendous percentage in the red zone today, this weekend. So that's where they go. They bend, don't break. It's really obnoxious to watch. And good teams are what's going to get them. Teams that can just put up sevens, not let them hang around, not keep the game close. That's why they've been blown out in their 2 losses this season. But we know what the offense can do. Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in football. Offensive line is a concern. They need to get Christian Darrisaw back at left tackle to help shore up protection. Cousins was horrendous, but he managed to do enough to get the win. Dalvin Cook can still run the football. Adam Thielen's still alive. TJ Hawkinson is the unsung hero of this team. He seems to make big catches, get nice, gritty, dirty yards for them at the tight end. It really helps them out a lot. They're probably going to be the 2 seed in the NFC now, so 2 home games, most likely for the Vikings if they can take care of business in the wild card round. Going to be getting the team at home, so they have a shot. This team is fantastic at home. Only 1 loss at home all season, and it was a game that they laid an egg in, and that happens sometimes. So I'm going to keep the Vikings here at 6. Definitely one of your best teams out of the NFC. All right, I'm keeping the Cowboys here at number 5. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. This game was 21-19 in the 4th quarter. Now, Dallas did a great job finishing this game, but the Colts didn't help things out by completely just saying, we don't want to hang on to the football anymore. They were as loose with the football as they were a loaf of bread. It was horrendous play by the Colts. So a really strong finish to the Cowboys. But man, it is concerning if you're a Cowboys fan. This feels like a super front-running team. Oh yeah, we can pad all our stats. We can run numbers up. We can blitz 8 when we're up 20. And yeah, we'll blow people out. We'll blow bad teams out. Bad teams do stupid shit. I don't know how this team's going to be able to react when a good team punches them in the mouth on a counter punch. That's what I'm concerned with if I'm a Dallas fan. I mean, talk all the shit you want. Dak is 1-3 in the postseason, and he's lost 2 home games. Not great if you're Dak, and you're going to have to go on the road for 3 of them. He's won 0 games on the road. You're going to have to go on the road for the playoffs. That's the biggest concern here. You're on the road, and you're probably going to have to go to Philly in the 2nd round of the playoffs coming off a bye. You don't want to do that. Philly's a very good football team. Now, they're going to host Philly here in a couple of weeks, so that should give them a real litmus test of how they're feeling. I expect Dallas to win that game, honestly, but it's not going to be enough to catch Philly in the division. They have a 2-game lead right now. Schedule is super soft, and honestly, you do not want to be playing soft teams down the stretch. You want to be playing good teams. You want to be sharpening iron, and sometimes you play bad teams, you blow them out, and it hurts you in the long run in the postseason. I need to see what the Cowboys do in a tight game against a good team. We saw them in a tight game against Green Bay, and they shit the bed. So, Dallas, you want to be able to beat Philly in a very tight game, very close game, to really get a measuring stick. I'm keeping it here at number 5 because that defense is elite, but I would be concerned that this offense is a lot of front running and not going to be able to do that in the postseason. Okay, I'm keeping the Niners here at 4. People don't massacre me on this one. I'm going to give the Niners the benefit of the doubt here. Very nice win at home against the Dolphins. They dominated them on defense. This defense is quietly the best defense in football. Nobody's really super talking about them because the Dallas Cowboys are the flashy defense with Micah Parsons. But Nick Bosa leads the NFL in quarterback hits and sacks on the season. So he's your best pass rusher in the NFL right now. He is playing lights out. Niners leading every major statistical category on defense. They are a problem. They were really banged up towards the early middle part of that season. Now they're healthy and they are causing havoc to good football teams. Now, Jimmy G done for the season is obviously the biggest question mark. This team felt like it had Super Bowl aspirations. Can Brock Purdy get it done? We don't know. I liked what I saw from him, honestly, without preparation as the starter. Now, he's got Tampa Bay this next week, a good defense, starting against Tom Brady. He's mystery relevant, but he's very relevant right now as the starter for the Niners. Let's see how this thing plays out. I'm not going to knock him yet, but as soon as they start slipping up, I'll drop the Niners down. But for right now, I'm giving Shanahan the benefit of the doubt. They win football games. They're a really good team. But when it comes down to it, I do think we now have a limiting factor for them in the postseason. And it's a real shame. Maybe they'll get Tom Brady as their quarterback next year. You got to move on from Jimmy G. The guy is made of glass. You can't keep relying on him. He'll always let you down. Right now, I'm going to keep him at 4 because they're a really good football team. The big question mark, obviously, quarterback and Brock Purdy. And they could easily drop here in the upcoming weeks. Okay, at number 3, I'm keeping the Buffalo Bills here. Solid performance against the Patriots in New England. They kind of own Bill Belichick. Josh Allen, absolutely lights out performance once again. They're starting to get back into the swing of things here. They're doing a much better job of not turning the ball over in the red zone. They're taking what the defense gives them. We know how good the Bills can be. We know it's Super Bowl or bust for this team. This is a really good football team. Stephon Diggs, one of the best wide receivers in the game. Gabe Davis needs to stop dropping the damn football, though. That's going to hurt them. I do like the commitment they're getting on the offense to run the ball still. You got to run the ball. You got to take some pressure off of Allen. Let other guys do stuff to win games. That's what you got to do. Defense is playing really good. Von Miller done for the season, though. Not ideal. He's been one of the best pass rushers this season. A huge add for them. But right now, as it stands, they are the 1 seed in the AFC. They're going to get that bye, and everyone's got to go to Orchard Park, which is a super tough place to play in January. It's awful weather, and the Bills are built to win in that weather. So for right now, Bills staying at 3 here, but you're number 1 seed in the AFC. I just think these two teams are a little bit better than the Bills. I think there's a little bit too much mistakes going on with Buffalo, and it's razor-thin margins at the top here. I think there's clearly a top 3, and we think we know who the best team is. Maybe not, but let's go to number 2. Okay, I'm dropping the Chiefs a spot. I'm putting them here at number 2. Hey, man, Kansas City at Cincinnati, that's a tough football game. They were down double digits, and it looked like they were going to get another double-digit come from behind to win, but not so fast. Joe Burrow and the Bengals really put it to them. They went and won this football game. Spagnuolo and the defense is the biggest concern, and we said this was the biggest concern with this team. Leaves way too many guys on an island. These corners cannot cover people one-on-one, especially elite receivers. What are you doing leaving Jamar Chase one-on-one? He is going to cook you every single time. Nice to get him back, by the way, in Cincinnati. But we know how good Mahomes and Andy Reid in this offense is. I still think this is a top tier team. They have no problem, I think, going on the road in the playoffs. They're going to have a home game. They're probably going to be the 2 seed now. But if Buffalo slips up at all, Kansas City will be this 1 seed. I think Kansas City wins out the rest of the way, getting, what are they going to be? 14-3. 14-3 on the season. So Buffalo better not slip up. That should be good enough for a 1 or 2 seed if you're Kansas City. So 2 home games and then on the road for the AFC Championship game, maybe. But hey, who knows? You could get another rematch with the Bengals in Arrowhead. So I love this football team. I'm still not selling my Chiefs stock. I'm going to knock them down a little bit just because they did end up losing the game and they are over against Joe Burrow, which is a little concerning. But really, it's what this top team did. Man, they really impressed me this weekend. Okay, number 1, back on top, fly, Eagles, fly. Yes, the Eagles were super impressive this weekend. Had a stretch there where they lost, and they were really close to losing against the Colts. But man, they have really found this out. They were sick and tired, I think, of all these people saying, oh, the Cowboys are the best teams in the NFC, this, that. Oh, the Niners. No. It's going through Philly. Absolutely dominating performance against the Titans. Jalen Hurts has been fantastic this season. We know how well-rounded of a group this is. I do think they're getting away from the running game a little too early. They're not running Miles Sanders enough. It's a lot of quarterback runs and maybe little dump passes that count as that are passes but are kind of more like runs. A.J. Brown, a fantastic receiver on the outside. Devontae Smith, the number two out there probably. He's awesome. I think this Eagles team is a real handful. It's really hard to go beat them in Philadelphia. But the playoff situation isn't ideal for the Eagles. They're probably going to get the 1 seed. They're probably going to get the bye. But then they're probably going to have to face Dallas. Probably the last team they wanted to see in their first playoff game. They would probably much rather get them in an NFC Championship game once they have a win under their belt. But it's all to play for the Eagles. They better not slip up too much because they do have a 2-game lead, 1.5-game lead on the Vikings. You don't want to send this team on the road for the postseason. You really want to have home field advantage. But this was a super impressive performance all around. I think they're starting to hit their stride at the right time. I would be very shocked if the Eagles aren't hosting the NFC Championship game. come championship weekend. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? Again, like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. Share this video with your friends. Really helps the channel out a lot. And I will see you guys tomorrow.